Hi, welcome back to What's Wrong with This Picture. I'm Dave Dufour here with Dennis Guillaume. We're talking about memory cards and preserving your pictures and preventing loss of pictures while you're shooting. These memory cards can be a little volatile, but what are some of the steps that we need to take to make sure that we don't lose those precious photos while we're traveling and taking photos?
Well, no matter what kind of cards you use, and we probably should mention that there are a lot of different sizes and a lot of different cards. For example, the old standard compact flash card is pretty big in today's
comparatively,
standards.
yes.
It's very reliable, but they still have been known to fail in terms of losing memory. There is the SD card, which is smaller by quite a bit.
Yeah, that's actually an SD adapter, but it's the same. But
yeah,
it looks
it's
the
same size card. And then there is the memory stick, which is another form of
the Sony.
And there are a couple of other things like, for example, the micro SD card.
Right.
Can you see how small that is?
It's about the size of a button.
Yeah.
And about as easy to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
really
so
easy to lose.
It's almost easier to have it in the adapter. I found that just if you don't know where it is, they come in little cases like this, similar to that too. So you don't want them just floating around in your camera bag because they're hard to see.
So you try to get these pictures that you took off of these cards, and of course there is the reader for the compact flash card that I guess I got it on camera there.
Right.
That will plug into your USB port, and you can take the images off that way. Or of course, you can take a USB cable out of your camera and go directly from your camera to the computer.
Right.
When you get to these small things, a reader, even an SD card, the reader will take an SD card. Here's one here with the SD card in it, and it'll take several different kinds. I've seen them that take 15 different kinds of memory devices. But when you get into these little bitty things, there isn't even a reader that really reads them direct in most cases. So they give you an adapter, and you slide this little card into the adapter. Now it's an SD size, and you can plug that in.
Makes the small one into a big one.
Yeah, and so that you can manage it in that sense. These are terribly small and easy to lose.
But even those teeny ones, of course, you still have the same rules to follow in terms of
as a matter of fact,
etc.
It was one of these tiny ones that just the other day, I think it was this past Saturday, I had one fail completely on me that was in my cell phone. And I had a bunch of pictures on there. Fortunately, they weren't terribly
We have some
important.
rules to follow here to prevent loss on these image cards. So what do we need to be doing?
All right. First of all, you can buy cards that are 16 gigabytes. You can buy 8 gigabytes. You can buy 42 and so on.
32 and 64.
Yes,
I think,
32 and 64. You're right. They get kind of expensive when you get up there in size. But the important thing to realize is that there is this possibility that you could lose images because they fail, the files become corrupt, or the card itself fails. So our advice generally is don't put all of your pictures on one card. There's something, don't put all of your eggs in one basket.
So basically have multiple cards available that you can use to put your pictures on, so that if one fails, at least you're not it's not a total loss.
Right, and you can get a lot of pictures on a relatively small card. I shoot 21 megapixel camera, and 8 gigabytes cards. I get over 200 pictures in RAW. So, I mean, you get plenty of pictures on a card. Normal shoot is not going to take you past that. But I still like to have 2 or 3 cards with me that I can, in the middle point of a shoot, where I'll take one card out, put another card in, and shoot the rest of the shoot with the second card. Now I have 2 cards holding important files for me. And if one of them should accidentally fail, I've got most of the shoot or half the shoot on another card.
Okay, so what's our rule number 2 for preventing loss?
One of the things to remember is you should not remove or insert your card with the camera on. And that, in some cases, is really not an issue, because Some of these cameras, like this one here, if I open the door on the side of the camera to take the card out, it automatically shuts it off. So if that's the case, this is something that you don't have to necessarily remember. But on many cameras, and many of the point-and-shoot cameras, you can pull the card out while the thing is still on. Real danger of corrupting the files that are on there when you do that. So remember to shut the camera off before you take your card out or put it in.
Okay, so and then the rule number 3 is?
Be kind to your card.
Okay.
Yeah. These things aren't indestructible physically. And even though they don't have the moving parts, do you remember the little CF cards that had the hard disk that spun around on the inside?
Right.
We don't use those anymore. Everything is kind of solid state, as we used to call it. But still, you can damage them. You know, you just have to treat them as though they were something that's relatively important to you, and don't subject them to extremely high heat or cold, for that matter. Try not to throw them around. Of course, dropping them may not hurt them, but it could.
Water, dirt, that kind of stuff. Obviously, keep them in the little cases that you get with them usually.
Yeah, try not to wash them with your blue jeans. You know.
Well, I've done that with a couple of thumb drives, unfortunately, and they sometimes survive.
They survive sometimes,
and sometimes they don't.
But you don't know. That's the problem. So just generally treating them with some care.
Okay. We had a question from our chat room that was kind of sort of a two-parter. One of them is, what do you do when you run out of space on your memory card and you don't maybe you don't have an immediate solution, or what's the solution when you're traveling? Basically, that's the idea.
Well, I guess I would liken that to, again, I refer to the old days all the time, but in the old days when you had film, you got 36 pictures on a roll of film. What did you do after 36 pictures?
You went and bought more film if you could.
Well, or you brought some,
enough film.
You brought some with you. I'm afraid that hasn't changed. And what you can do, it's much easier, is to bring an extra card or 2 or 3 or whatever, depending on what you think you're going to be doing.
Now, if you have your computer or one of those external hard drives that sort of stands alone, you can actually offload some of the pictures. And of course, the other thing, what I do is, if I'm full up, then I look in the camera, in the screen, and delete the ones you don't want.
That little erasure thing that we were talking about, you can erase individual pictures. You can look at the back of them and see whether or not you moved the camera or the subject moved, and I'm not going to use that anyway. You can cull quite a few pictures out and still make some extra room for yourself.
There's another little trick, and sometimes if you realize that you're coming up against the tail end of your card, and maybe you're ahead of, you haven't run out yet, and that is, maybe think about, are you shooting at such a high resolution that you're taking pictures that you don't need that high a resolution. And it really, most of our travel pictures, we're going to want to take the highest resolution because that gives us the most flexibility. But at times you actually free up enough room for maybe an extra 10 or 20 shots if you just drop down one slot in the resolution level.
And you can do that. The other thing to think about is the fact that these cameras now give you the opportunity to not only change resolution level, but also to select what kind of file they're going to record. So I shoot everything in RAW. I have a choice. I can shoot RAW and JPEG at the same time.
Oh, really?
JPEG is a smaller version
it's a compressed file.
Yeah. Now, when I do that, I'm using even more memory per picture because I'm recording a RAW file, which takes quite a bit of space, and that JPEG file. So together, they're even bigger. But if I know that I'm running into a problem as you described, I can easily change what kind of file I'm going to save to just JPEG. And when I do that, the files that are being kept are much smaller, and you'll notice that image count on your camera goes right up again, because you've taken that raw file form out. And you're not doing it. So you can, just by changing your habits for a particular card.
So it's really important to get to know the interface on your camera so that you know how to do all these things.
And it's really quite simple on almost any camera now, but you do have to know where to go and and change that specification.
Sure. Okay, well, we're going to come back with more stuff, especially we're going to show you one way, possible way of rescuing those photos when the worst happens. So stay with us on What's Wrong with This Picture.
Have a question or a comment for Dennis Guillaume? Get in touch at picture@rvnn.tv, and don't forget to send us your RVing pictures for possible use on an upcoming episode. You can also leave a voicemail for Dennis at 877-578-RVNN, extension 704. Follow RV Newsnet on Facebook and Twitter, and you can receive text messages to alert you when we're streaming live by texting RVNN to 72727. That way, you can join us live in the chat room, ask questions, and become part of the RV Newsnet family. Remember, any photos or other material submitted to us become the property of RV Newsnet and cannot be returned. For more TV like this from the world of RVs, head to rvnn.tv.